travel at speeds pushing 200 miles per hour. The very best drivers in the world putting their lives on the line every week. It's time to get the lowdown on this week's contenders, plus a look at the key driver matchups. Right now on Gaughn Racing.
Welcome into another edition of Gaughn Racing. We're here at the South Point Hotel Casino in the Quiet Sports Book. It's Jeff Motley. It's Brendan Gaughn. And Brendan, we finally got a race, kind of a race weekend, a race week under our belt. Two pretty exciting races at Darlington, and NASCAR's back, baby.
And ending especially on Wednesday was exciting, and they both were great. You know, rain and tempers flaring. But, you know, what I like to look at was, look, you just said the South Point Casino Sportsbook is empty. But you know what? We had action.
A lot of action.
We had betting on let's recap that real quick for you, Jeff. I called on Sunday. A normal NASCAR handle for us is maybe $12,000 to $15,000 on a weekend. For a regular non-Daytona Las Vegas race, we ended up with $40,000 handle on Sunday's race. Massive. I mean, that's a big handle. And on Wednesday,
that probably rivals Daytona 500 numbers.
No, Daytona, and because we put all the props up also,
the props.
You know, and Vegas when everybody's here in town. So, but it was a really nice win for, you know, or not win. We actually lost on Sunday, but it was a nice to have that action, that, you know, that the bets going. And what we've talked about for 2 years now, Jeff, is, you know, let NASCAR people learn how to bet. It's going to be great. Even on Wednesday night, $17,000 was bet on the South Point and Rampart Casino's sportsbook app, and that's bigger than a normal Sunday race for NASCAR.
Well, and I think the excitement of having NASCAR back, I think it was seen in a lot of different facets. Obviously, the handle that we saw, not just here at the South Point, but I'm sure we saw this with mobile apps all across the United States. We also saw it reflected in the television ratings that we saw, especially on Sunday.
You found those. You told me it was huge.
Oh, the television ratings were huge. It was the highest rated NASCAR event, non-Daytona 500, in more than 3 years. Number one sports event of the weekend. It blew away The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary, and then it really blew away that golf event that McIlroy and
was that
Dustin
did they have the
Johnson.
Skins game?
I don't know. They did something in Florida. It was funny because they were wearing shorts, carrying their own bags, so I don't even know what that was all about.
When was the last time those guys carried their own bags?
Probably when they were in college. But, I mean, I think it's exciting to see that obviously not just NASCAR fans, but sports fans in general, or people who are just looking for a little bit of normalcy to come back. And NASCAR was able to deliver that not only on Sunday, but they also delivered it on Wednesday night. So we saw two incredibly exciting races. We should recap those races, Brendan. Yep. First off, kudos to you. You picked the winner on Sunday. I was off by one race. I had Denny Hamlin winning Sunday. Denny Hamlin won last night.
If you had Kevin Harvick, and we got a great little stat here, the VSiN guys. I love Isaiah's working overtime back there for us. Race winner plus 800. Top three was plus 150. Group A winner was plus 275. Some head-to-head matchups. He was a plus line on a couple head-to-head matchups, which was nice, and he got those. So, but if you had an extra stat to put there, you'd have a minus number on his mask versus Wednesday's winner's mask.
Denny Hamlin had the greatest mask ever.
He won that.
I've never seen anybody actually put their own face on a mask. So.
Dude, I'm sorry. Kevin Harvick has those great pictures. If you're watching the VSiN stream, or, you know, any of the networks, you'll see that he has his, you know, victory picture, the usual, with his black mask on. Denny Hamlin won the race, and here we have it right here. He said, "Say cheese" with his trophy.
With his own mask.
But the best was on the network coverage. He's in the race car. He's smiling. He leans down before he gets out, and he puts on the mask with his smile on it. Denny, kudos to you. Great forethought. You want to talk about calling your shot, saying, "I'm going to win. I'm going to have my mask." Way to go, Denny.
Yeah, that was great. And, you know, one thing we talked about last week, because there was no practice, there was no qualifying, no one had been in a car in 2 months. We talked about how we thought that the veterans would rise to the top. Now, we saw some young guys. Alex Bowman had a good run. We saw Tyler Reddick, John Hunter Nemechek had good runs on Sunday.
Runs. Holy cow.
Really good runs. But we saw a veteran win on Sunday in Kevin Harvick. We also saw a veteran in Kurt Busch get a top three. So it was really big for Kurt to have a good bounce back there. And then we even saw on Wednesday night, we saw Denny Hamlin, another veteran racer. I mean, he's picked up multiple wins already this year. He's got multiple wins at Darlington. He's very strong there. And I think Darlington's one of those racetracks where the veterans kind of tend to rise to the top.
And we said that, but then I said Alex Bowman. You can pull the tape up with me last week. I dogged Alex Bowman like you couldn't believe. I said, "Oh, don't Alex Bowman stats there are horrible." And
maybe you gave him motivation. Maybe you were like, Michael Jordan in that Last Dance. Every little thing would give him motivation.
I was watching NASCAR,
so you could watch both.
Nah. I'm a Georgetown guy. Forget that sissy blue stuff.
Oh, yeah. Patrick Ewing didn't like it anyway.
So no, but we veterans did, but a lot of rookies that we didn't expect did well. And then in turn on Wednesday, one that we talked so much about, John Hunter, just poor day for him.
Good.
No, not too good. No, Denny Hamlin, though, we talked about him for the Wednesday race. If you had Denny, now remember, we didn't get to talk a lot about it because we only had talked about the one, but he was a plus 700 to win that race. He had plus 225 for a top 3. Group A winner, he was the dog at plus 295. Over Harvick, a plus line, evens. He had a couple minus lines over Bowman and Elliott. But, still, great job on payouts for Denny Hamlin if you had him for the Wednesday race.
Well, and I'll tell you something that was a little scary about watching how well Denny did in that race Wednesday night as well. Chris Gabehart, his crew chief, said going in, we brought a different car back with a different setup, and we're using this as a test because we know Darlington's going to be in the playoffs with the Southern 500 on Labor Day weekend, because even though the NASCAR schedule's been jumbled, we're expecting the playoff schedule to stay the same.
Well, we're expecting the races at least
to be the same. So we know Darlington's going to be in the playoffs. So their test session, they won the race. And look, okay, it was 20 laps shortened. They were going to win that race anyway. Nobody was beating Denny Hamlin last night.
But we talked about it. Remember we talked about if you watch the guy do well on Sunday, watch out on if something happened, watch him on Wednesday. Jimmy Johnson, great example. Jimmy Johnson was phenomenal, made a rookie mistake. The GOAT made a mistake, completely his error, what he did on Sunday. Leading stage 1, coming to the checkered flag, got impatient, and my favorite was his interview afterwards. He did everything but say, that was a rookie mistake. I mean, he said it was his fault. He knew it. He screwed the boots.
He only had one lap left in the stage.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't
didn't even need to pass
pressuring Buescher.
And so what does he do? He comes back on Wednesday, finishes top 10. So he did exactly what we talked is watch the guys that may have been good on Sunday that didn't do good on Wednesday. And then the other thing is organizations. John Hunter, Tyler Reddick, these guys, they had that great Sunday. Gibbs wasn't all that great on Sunday. On Wednesday, Gibbs was great. Hendrick Motorsports was great on Sunday. They were okay. Chase Elliott was great.
Chase Elliott had a really good chance to win.
Other than Chase, the Hendrick group was not as strong on Wednesday. So other teams raised their game after that test session. Denny Hamlin, though.
What happened to the Penske cars in both races? I have to admit, I was very surprised not to see a little more strength out of the Penske cars in both races.
And the best was on Sunday, Joey was okay for a minute. And then bad.
And Brad was good for a while on Wednesday
he let it stay, and then faded away. He did win. He would have won a group on Wednesday if they were the same. But still, Penske as an organization they kind of plateaued right there. They definitely did not show that they gained anything from Sunday to Wednesday, where I saw the Hendrick group make moves. I saw the Gibbs group ebb and flow. You saw some, other RCR as an organization actually had a decent day with Tyler Reddick really doing strong stuff for them. So
yeah, Tyler Reddick has done a really nice job. William Byron had a pretty good bounce back, was running much better yesterday than he ran. Obviously, he had some problems on Sunday. Alex Bowman, strong both races. Yep. Like you said, Chase Elliott may have been the one guy that may have had something for Denny Hamlin.
He did.
Late.
He had it. And then Harvick had something for him both races too. Harvick looked great.
Yeah, and Harvick, one thing about Darlington that we found out really quickly, and I don't know that we're going to necessarily see this going forward at other mile-and-a-half tracks at Charlotte, Atlanta. Man, if you had to start on the inside line at Darlington, you were in big trouble.
It hurts. It's tough. It's tough to start on the inside line there.
Austin Dillon wants a cone. For people that don't know what a cone is, in short track racing...
He wants a cone where?
He wants a cone for every restart. So people that don't follow short track racing, you put a cone down on the racetrack, and each car, they're single file till they get to the start-finish line, and you have to pick a side of the cone. So Austin thinks the first 6 cars in line would have all taken the outside last night, and the 7th-place car would have probably pulled up and been on restarting on the inside.
He would have.
That's a short track thing. No. We don't do that.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. What I want to talk about a little bit, though, is, hey, we had our league return last week, right? Didn't we make picks last week?
Aren't we going to save that for the last segment? Or are we going to have to listen to that for the whole show?
I'm just saying we at least could talk about how we picked. I mean, I think we even, we might have a few graphics here that might show some of these things, because I'm just saying.
Isaiah may retire from picking after.
Well, see, here's what I think Isaiah is trying to do for me. After last week's picks, I want y'all to look at this.
Are we really going to zoom in on this
So
that you need a magnifying glass to look at?
Yeah, I think he's trying to make it difficult for me to pick because I'm 44 now, and like I'm holding this thing, I'm past the arm length. But yeah, last week I did pick Kevin Harvick to win for 8 points. I did pick Kenseth over William Byron. Remember, that was my circled big on the screen.
That was your lock of the day.
That was my lock of the day.
You
got me that one. Kurt Busch to win Group C.
You realize we all three picked Kurt Busch to win Group C. So if he had not won Group C,
I'm just saying,
we would have blamed him for it, not
ourselves. It's a plus 9.8 units. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Cash and tickets? Don't we have a guy on this network? Don't we have a guy around here? Some guy? Everybody kind of knows?
The guy named Musburger, I think.
Yeah,
all about cashing tickets.
Cash and tickets, baby. Right here.
And somebody at least else also finished in the positive.
True, we did have a positive.
I had Austin Dillon in his group and Kurt Busch, and then our producer Isaiah, his first.
Yeah, well, you had Kurt Busch to win Group C,
and I had Austin Dillon
to win Group B. 2.4 units. That's a good day.
I wish I could just said I had Denny Hamlin on Wednesday night, but I gotten credit for the Denny Hamlin.
No, that was only Sunday. But now. I did text
you like 10 seconds after.
You did. We did. Jeff and I were texting immediately after the race. Now, we did fire Ann because we furloughed her. We forced Vison to bring us somebody else because
she was
kicking our butt. She's kicking our rears. So we wanted to make it known that the former pit crew, which is now headed by producer Isaiah. Wah, wah, wah.
I think Isaiah Thomas could have picked that as well.
I think Ann is sitting at home going,
Sorry, Isaiah. We love you, brother. We
yelling right now, saying that she would have definitely not picked some of the ones that Isaiah picked. He had William Byron top 3, which William Byron was, I'll give it to him. He was looking okay.
Well,
Kesey over Truex, that was not good. Kyle Busch, going to the back at the start of the race did not hurt him.
And he just rode our coattails on that Kurt
Busch. Yeah, he just picked up. And then Clint Boyer, Group D. So all I see is a lot of losers there and a minus sign. So nicely done. That is why we now have.
I picked first, so I picked Kurt Busch first. Let me just say that right now. You wrote on my coattails.
I think didn't we send that note to him that we.
Yeah, well, maybe whatever.
Listen, right now I just know that
somebody's got a minus by their name and 2 people have pluses by their name. That's
Isaiah keeps his job for another week because he gets his butt kicked by us today. So.
Now we also wanted to talk about how the picks went last week. Not just mine and your picks, but just what people would have gotten had they bet.
Yep.
So Isaiah's put together a nice little graphic for us on our group matchups where we can go through each one and see who the winner was of each group. So I think Isaiah's going to clue those up on the screen. We know in Group A, Kevin Harvick won the race on Sunday. He was a winner in Group A. He got you a plus 275. So
he wasn't even the favorite. So that was
those were really good numbers on Kevin in Group A. And then you look down in Group B. The long shot, Alex Bowman. He finished second in the race.
We talked about that where I said, once again, Alex Bowman, not the guy I'd pick. Stats don't show there. Brad Keselowski was my guy.
We like the veterans there. And Keselowski
and Alex Bowman absolutely showed us wrong and did it great. Now, flip side, if that same group was Wednesday, Denny Hamlin. So you had different winners in Group A and B. Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski would have won. Well, Chase Elliott with 2 laps to go would have won Group B.
Which we're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that part. After we got to cover. We cover gambling, but come on, we got to cover some of the fun part too. I mean, that's the fun part.
All right, now Group C, we know that was a runaway. Kurt Busch had that one well in hand. We all picked Kurt Busch to win Group C. We felt really good about Kurt's opportunity to win Group C. And honestly, Jimmy Johnson had a really, really good run until he talked about, he kind of killed himself at the end of the first segment.
Completely.
And then in Group D, Eric Almirola, a guy who has not had a lot of success at Darlington, he really kind of managed to win that group partially because other guys had some problems.
Well, and that was a close one. Newman was right there with him on that one. And DiBenedetto did better than we expected.
And DiBenedetto had a really good run on Wednesday night.
And that group right there on Sunday was actually a pretty competitive group. They were all lumped in together. If you took that same group, Jeff, on Wednesday, how about this? And this is something I talked about Wednesday morning with Danielle Trotta. I co-hosted with her. Eric Jones's stats at Darlington are phenomenal.
Well, he won last year.
Don't forget that. But he's only had a few starts, and he's the one rookie that we didn't talk a lot about.
And he was having a really good run.
He was having a good run on Wednesday, and he had a loose wheel or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. But Eric Jones would have won Group C on Wednesday, and Eric Almirola would have doubled up Eric Almirola won both Wednesday and Sunday for Group D. So you need to keep an eye. Remember 2 years ago, Eric Almirola got on our radars, and then last year he kind of floated. He could be back on the radar in a big way.
With the exception of Cole Custer, the Stewart-Haas cars were incredibly strong, especially on Wednesday night. I mean, Harvick obviously won Sunday. Harvick was good last night. Clint Boyer, I thought for a while Clint Boyer had the best car. I think he won the first two stages of the race.
He dominated them.
You know, and then he kind of got behind a little bit in a pit stop, and then I think he got into somebody, and that's typically, unfortunately, what happens to Clint. Now, Group E, Austin Dillon.
Got you the one.
Which I really, really think that if you put Austin Dillon in that group week in and week out,
he will be. And Christopher Bell has been just abysmal most of the season. So
just shocking to me.
I mean, shockingly bad.
I really expected a lot more out of that team. And then Group F. I mean, Group F, which did Michael McDowell beat John Hunter Nemechek? I think no.
I think
our money bag is
well. Group F on Sunday was John Hunter Nemechek with that phenomenal top 10 run.
Top 10
but
finish there.
On Wednesday, Michael McDowell was the winner of Group F. So McDowell did get you Group F on Wednesday. John Hunter got you on. And remember, I picked Ty Dillon because that veteran. Ty had a great weekend. 18th and 18th. That's probably 7 to 8 spots better than the Germain team has been lately. So he
got an opportunity to lead some laps on Wednesday night. He got out
looked
front,
good up front too.
Looked good out there.
Did not look bad. And Group E on Wednesday. How about this though? Cole Custer would have won that group.
Really? Wow. That's pretty big news.
Yeah, they were all.
Cole Custer really. I think Cole Custer and Christopher Bell.
I have that wrong. I wrote it in the wrong place. Christopher Bell would have won that group. Christopher Bell Christopher Bell finally had a decent run. Finally. Yeah. That's his first decent run in a long time.
Yeah. Well, now we've talked a lot about Sunday's race. I want to talk a little bit about Wednesday night's race. I mean, we know Denny Hamlin won, but if you go back through that race, there were so many different drivers who looked dominant at one point. Obviously, we talked about Clint Boyer in the first two stages. Eric Jones was very strong at a certain point in that race. Brad Keselowski was very good at a certain point in that race. Chase Elliott was really good in the race. Speaking of Chase Elliott, I think we've got a little video that we can show.
Video and audio for everybody. So
video and audio.
Radio or TV on VSiN right now. So, you're getting the best of both
If you're
worlds.
watching, Isaiah, you want to roll the... What Warner Wolf you say? Let's go to the videotape, even though it's not really.
You had a good opportunity to listen to Kyle Busch's explanation of what happened. Does that calm the waters somewhat?
No, I mean, ultimately he made a mistake, and I get it, and I don't think he intentionally wrecked us, but you just get tired of coming out on the wrong end of those deals too often, and I certainly feel like we were in position to win that race, and Denny was in trouble on old tires, and we were going to clear Kyle, obviously. So, you get tired of getting run over like that, and his explanation, I'm sure, is accurate, but it doesn't change that all these guys worked their tails off on this Napa Chevy, and ultimately they deserve to win the race.
Now, we talked earlier that you and I were texting immediately after the race last night.
So
now are you now? I want everybody to know that on our text, I was trying to defend Kyle that he basically just screwed up and made a mistake. I won't repeat everything in the text that Brendan sent back to me, but he disagreed.
Listen,
with me.
Here's the thing: Alan Gustafson was Kyle's old crew chief. They're friends,
and there's a lot of guys still on that team that Kyle raced.
And they're friends, and so that I was very proud of both of them not getting NASCAR in a pickle. People running and masks flying and flying.
I wanted to know how social distancing was going to work. We had a scuffle.
They did a very nice job of having a conversation, which that's the friendship of Kyle and Alan. But we have Kyle also answering this question. So let's listen to Kyle's, and then I'll tell you about my text message. Let's listen to Kyle's version of what happened.
You finished second, but a long conversation with Alan Gustafson. Walk us through what you believe took place from your side of the fence.
Oh, there's no question. I know I made a mistake and just misjudged the gap. When we were racing there with the 11 and the 9 had a run on him, I knew he was there. And I knew I needed to get in line as quick as I could, and in doing so, I watched him and his momentum that was going by me, and then I tried to look up in the mirror and see where Harvick was to get in, and I just misjudged it. I made a mistake and clipped the 9 there and spun him into the wall, so I hate it for him and his guys. I mean, I got too many friends over there on that team to do anything like that on purpose. I've raced Chase since he was a kid, and Never had any issues with him whatsoever. So it was just a bad mistake on my part, and we'll just have to deal with it later on.
After the debate, you've made your case. Do you feel like that, obviously there's hurt feelings, but do you believe that Gustafson and their side believe exactly what happened?
Go ask them.
Well, you had the conversation with him. How did he leave it?
They're upset. They're mad. I'm not just going to fix it and we're going to have go ice cream tomorrow, you know? So obviously they're going to have to dwell on it, and the repercussions of it, I'm sure I'm going to have later on down the road.
All right. Thanks, Kyle.
The end of that, he is 100% right. There will be repercussions later, and he knows it.
And they won't be eating ice cream.
And they won't be eating ice cream right now. Here's my thing that I said to you. Now, I'm not saying Kyle did it intentionally. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, this is Kyle Busch. This isn't, Jimmy Johnson made a mistake on Sunday.
I know
that was a rookie mistake.
You expect more out of Kyle Busch. You don't expect.
He didn't miss by an inch, Jeff. And I get the whole looking up in the mirror, trying to time your thing. I get there's some timing there. And I'm not saying he did it intentionally, but I'm a driver. I've been there. He basically went, oh, crap, I'm going to lose 4 positions. Rain is coming. If I don't fit in this hole, I'm going to be way worse. You know what? If I almost make it, I'm okay. Let's see if I go here. And he had a wanton disregard for the situation. I'm not saying he did it intentionally, but he didn't care about the outcome the other way because he knew where he was.
But I think
he missed by the front tire, dude.
Okay, don't yell. Come on. But look, I think he was driving with the rearview mirror, and he wasn't driving out of his windshield.
He didn't care.
Well, I think that probably happened a little bit too.
Disregard.
We're going to agree to disagree on a little bit on this. We'll be back on Gaughn Racing, and we'll start breaking down the Coca-Cola 600.
NASCAR Show. Live from the Sportsbook at the South Point Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Now, back to Gaughn Racing.
Welcome back into Gaughn Racing. Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan. And Brendan, we have pretty much dissected every part of Darlington that we possibly can.
And it was fun.
It was fun. Now we've got one of the great traditions in all of NASCAR coming up
On its scheduled
Sunday.
date, even.
On its scheduled date. It's going to run its scheduled distance, hopefully. The Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte coming up this Sunday, and it'll be followed by another NASCAR Cup Series event on Wednesday night, much like we had this past week at Darlington. But we roll into the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte, or sometimes we should refer to it as the Martin Truex Jr. 600, I believe. We're looking at the odds to win the race, and that's the first thing we're going to talk about. And Martin Truex Jr. is actually number 3 on the list behind Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. Kyle Busch comes in at plus 400, Kevin Harvick at 550, and then you see Martin Truex Jr., who I believe he's won 3 of the last 6, and I believe he's finished second and third in 2 others. So to me, Martin Truex Jr. is just an unbelievable favorite.
Let me help you out with that, Mr. Motley. Martin Truex Jr. So going from recent to latest. First, second, first, third, 13th, first, third, fifth.
What did I say? He won 3 of the last 6 and top 3 and 5 of the 6.
I mean,
think that's
unbelievable what he's done. And laps led, 233 laps led. 300. Remember the 392?
I was there the 91.
392 laps.
392 out of 400 laps.
I mean, that was disgusting.
And if they hadn't had green flag pit stops and somebody else,
he would have
led all 400 laps.
First time ever. I mean, he has been absolutely dominant. And to have him at plus 600 versus Kyle Busch, Kyle Busch is great. I mean, Kyle Busch has been great.
Kyle Busch won this race in 2018.
So Kyle Busch has 6 top 10s, 1 win last 10 races, and he did win it in the Coke 600 in 18.
So Joe Gibbs Toyotas have won. Well, actually, technically, I guess Martin Truex Jr. wasn't in a Joe Gibbs Toyota when he won in 2017.
But it was still Joe Gibbs. But
still, I mean, kind of an extension of that team. So they've definitely, the Toyotas have been very dominant.
Plus 600, that's a great number for Martin.
It is. And then we look below that. We've got the 2 Penske teammates, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, both at plus 800. Chase Elliott plus 900. Denny Hamlin 11-1. Boy, there's a guy that he's red hot. I think every week we expect Denny Hamlin to be in contention. So to see him at 11-1, I'm a little surprised. Another guy, Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman at 16-1, who has proven himself to be pretty darn good on these 1.5-mile tracks. And then we see Jimmy Johnson in there also coming in at 16-1, who had a really strong run we talked about on Sunday at Darlington. And then some little longer odds there. We see William Byron 20-1, Kurt Busch at 22, then a log jam at 25 with Ryan Blaney, Clint Boyer, Eric Jones, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Yeah.
And Eric Almirola, a guy you were talking about earlier, at 33.
And it's fun. I know this is for the win, but I look at that from DraftKings and I kind of shake my head and go, all right, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
over Eric Almirola on the same level.
And on the same level as Eric Jones and Ryan Blaney. There's somebody over there at DraftKings that might need to sharpen a pencil a little bit. I
don't mean to be mean, and he'll probably never talk to me, but the odds on Ricky getting in a crash is like 2-1. So I don't know how you put him 25-1.
He said that. I didn't. Just make that note. I mean, okay. I want to save that. Okay. That right there. That clip needs to be saved.
It's become a verb. I mean, I feel bad for the guy, but
so let's talk about old Martin Truex Jr. at plus 600. No, I mean, look, you look at the people right there.
You just agreed by being silent. I want you to know that.
I get enough heat for the things I say about that. I'm going to slide right on by. Go figure. Some people might get that, some won't. Yeah. The way I look at that is you got to look at what we just had the last 2 days, right? This is a mile and a half. It's Darlington. It's a mean super speedway, but it's still a 550 package aero super speedway. Okay. Was Kyle Busch the dominant car?
No.
At any point in either of those races, was he the dominant car?
No.
No. Okay. Was Kevin Harvick a dominant car?
Yes.
Yes. Was Martin Truex Jr. a dominant car?
No.
Asterisk.
But I'm going to put a but.
But what he does there. But how about his teammate, Denny Hamlin?
Denny Hamlin was strong. I thought he was strong both races. No
Alex Bowman, was he strong both days?
Yes.
Okay. I would look at that and go, oh, my goodness, that's pretty darn strong right there to say that those numbers are on that. Now, we've turned the page if you're watching on the VSiN network, and there's something I want to talk about right there on the top of that screen, Jeff.
Matt Kenseth. What an incredible comeback from Matt Kenseth. I thought it was a terrific weekend. Last 4 days for Matt Kenseth.
Did phenomenal right out of the box. Now let's talk about Matt Kenseth. In last 10 races, he's raced 9 of them at Charlotte.
He's raced 9?
He's raced 9 of the last 10. And Matt Kenseth was 17th in his one race back with Roush. You know, that was one of the first races back.
The first races back when he
Yes.
replaced Trevor Bayne, I believe. Correct.
But when he was still running full-time at Joe Gibbs, 11th, 4th, 2nd, and 7th. Okay, so we all know that Matt Kenseth knows how to get it done there. But let's go down the list. You got to find Kyle Larson. How's he been doing in that car the last bunch?
Well, Brendan, we're going to have to go to break. I know we get a short second break. We can keep talking about this when we come back on Gaughn Racing.
Welcome back to our weekly NASCAR show, live from the sportsbook at the South Point Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Now, back to Gaughn Racing.
Welcome back into Gaughn Racing. Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan. And Brendan, you were so rudely interrupted by our commercial break. You were getting excited over there talking about the odds to win the Coca-Cola 600.
I was focused right here. I wasn't focused on Isaiah doing jumping jacks, telling me that it was time for a break. So nice save, Mr. Motley, sir. But where I was going was you have to combine Matt Kenseth and a Kyle Larson stat there because the way the situations worked out. And Kyle Larson, if you remember, a 7th and a 10th, led some laps, was really strong in the Coke 600 a little bit ago. And Ganassi Racing has really been strong there. Even since Kurt got there, they've really done well. So I like Matt Kenseth at 33-1. It's a long shot, don't get me wrong. but I like Matt Kenseth.
Well, and we've got some other long shots. Matt DiBenedetto,
Matty D.
50-1. Now, he's never won a race, we know, but I think Matty D, every week, he's consistent. And one thing I think we have to bring up about the Coke 600, if there is a race outside of Daytona and Talladega where you may want to take a flyer on a long shot, because we saw Austin Dillon, I think years ago, we saw Casey Mears, some guys win the Coke 600 on fuel mileage.
This
because
tends to be
can
one.
certainly happen at Charlotte. You can get spread out a little bit.
If you're letting me look at a fuel mile, if you're looking at the strategy type move right now, I look at this page and I do give a Matt DiBenedetto or a Tyler Reddick the biggest nod, or a Ryan Newman. They're three guys that I believe are on organizations that know how to play that well, know they're probably not the strongest to go win the race, and they could get that long shot win. So this does lend itself to a lot of strategy.
Well, let me ask you this, too. I mean, we're talking about a 600-mile race, 4 days, 3 days, 4 days after running a 300-mile race, which you ran a 400-mile race 3 days
earlier,
before that. So at any point, do you think for any of these guys is fatigue going to come in? I mean, you probably know who's in better shape than others.
But what people think of as shape is different than what happens to the body with the heat. I think that by the end of this race, that Wednesday race at Charlotte, you may see some fatigued guys. But I think the Coke 600, everybody hydrates differently. Everybody works harder. Everybody comes more prepared. You have a few more attachments on the body for what, the extra miles that go on. Everybody has more drink bag. We have ways to maybe use the restroom in the race car that we don't normally run on different races. I'm being polite about that. I'm serious.
I appreciate you being polite about it.
That's a race that we tend to wear certain things that we don't wear on a normal race because the extra 100 miles. And so it's there are stresses that happen in this race, but the old days of the motor, the last 100 miles being the motor and the stress on the car, these things are so bulletproof now. That's kind of gone.
Well, and it's actually, I mean, really the guys you appreciate are those guys back in the old days, Richard Petty, David Pearson, back when that race was run entirely during the day,
dude,
before they put lights up at Charlotte.
That thing.
And you know
and
how
those cars and
that North Carolina humidity around late May. I mean, sometimes you get a nice cool day, but you can get some pretty rough humidity.
It's not pretty.
All right, Brendan, we're going to move into the top three. We like talking about the DraftKings.
We don't have matchups, Jeff. Let's tell everybody.
Right. We don't have head-to-head matchups. We don't have group matchups.
Nobody's put them up yet.
And everybody needs to know, Brendan and I record this show on Thursday mornings, and because there was a Wednesday night race, the sports books have not gotten the numbers together. We may have to deal with this for a couple weeks because we're in the same situation.
That's okay. We're happy we have betting, so we'll take it.
Right, we're happy to have betting, and we encourage everybody to see what's happening. Look at your odds, and qualifying, by the way, for the Coke 600 is going to take place right befefore the race. So it's going to be, I believe, at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, or somewhere. Yeah. They are going to qualify, but it's going to be on the same day.
Yep.
So you might, if you got your app,
you
might want to be paying attention to qualifying before you start putting your money down. But we do have DraftKings top three for the Coca-Cola 600. The fact that Brendan is going to race at Talladega in a month and he can't read this sheet because of his eyes makes me concerned.
Well, goodness gracious, he's trying to beat me. He's trying to make me lose this week because of this. I have to use the monitor because I can't see
Kevin Harvick's rear bumper is bigger than these numbers. So you won't run into it when you get to Talladega. Okay, let's get to the top three. And it kind of follows along the lines of the odds to win the race, but we don't see any minus numbers beside Kyle Busch again this week. It is a plus.
And a Kevin Harvick plus 150 and a Martin Truex Jr. plus 150 or 160.
160.
Sorry, I can't read. It's 5 and 6.
I know.
Look
5s
and
6s, everything looks the same to Brendan. So it's a good thing I can read.
And I'm put it up here.
And I'm older than you are.
I can see this.
I know. I'm older than you are.
I thought you were younger.
Oh, I wish I was younger than you. And you got gray hair. See, that's why you look older.
I just got a lot of hair right now.
Yeah, well.
Pay a lot of money for that. Mm-hmm. But you look at this. Brad Keselowski plus 225. Joey Logano, the teammates, plus 225. Chase Elliott, very strong in both races, plus 250. Denny Hamlin, once again, plus 300. And Alex Bowman, plus 400.
Well, I tell you, that one, I like that one.
Woo!
I like Alex Bowman at plus 400. That's a good number on a guy who I think he's going to be strong. I really do think Alex Bowman is going to be really strong.
Jimmy Johnson plus 400. You saw how well he did at Darlington at both days. So I think that's a legitimate number now. Byron was a 500. Kurt Busch 550. Blaney 6. Clint Boyer, Eric Jones, once again Ricky Stenhouse all at 600, and Eric Almirola 800.
There's a lot of love for Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
We used to have
by
that
the
on Ryan.
DraftKings
Remember last year, Ryan Blaney always had those numbers
Well,
that were
maybe
inflated.
Ricky bought in some stock to DraftKings, and they're trying to be nice to him.
But I mean, you're telling me that Eric Jones has as good a shot as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the top 3?
I'm not telling you that. DraftKings is telling you that because I don't agree with it either.
But there's some numbers right there.
I think Eric Almirola at plus 800. I mean, there's a guy who's been very consistent, and I don't know if we'll have him up on the screen, but we've got even some longer numbers on some other guys on our sheet. There we go. We got Matt Kenseth at plus 800.
That's a decent number.
I know you like that, and Matty D at 12-1, and we love Matt DiBenedetto. So.
And Tyler Reddick at 12-1. He's been, those are numbers that are attainable for those guys. Those are good long shot top 3 numbers that this race are very obtainable.
And I think going back to what we talked about a little bit earlier in the fact that this can be a fuel mileage type race where, look, okay, you may get one of the top guys may win the race, but it's still very plausible.
It leaves
for
one of those top 3 cars to slide
into one of those top 3 spots. And we see some long numbers. Ty Dillon at 50-1 is the kind of guy who can hang around on the lead lap.
And he's got Matt Borland. He's got Matt Borland, who is a genius when it comes to throwing caution to the wind. So you've got a Matt Borland crew chief with a strategy. It ends up going long. You get, a team that has nothing to lose. Those are good numbers for top 3s.
Well, and Chris Buescher coming in there, also 30-1 on the DraftKings. I mean, there's another guy that I could see. I mean, he's going to be consistent. I mean, he may not necessarily be the guy that's going to run up and lead a bunch of laps or anything like that, but I just believe that any guy who can hang around on the lead lap all day
has a chance with
has got a chance late in a race, especially at a race like the Coca-Cola 600.
They do, because strategy happens so often here. When you get that last green flag run that lasts 65 laps, 67 laps, right on the edge of that fuel load, the guys are tired, it can happen, and it does often. Like you said, Casey Mears, Austin Dillon, some guys that wouldn't really expect to win this race have won it because of great strategy moves. Good cars, but great strategy.
But you got to still put yourself in position to win. I think I was even there when Casey Mears won, and it was a fuel mileage deal, but I was able to pull it out.
I'm a Casey fan. So.
Well, when we come back on Gaughn Racing, we'll talk a little bit about the Wednesday night Charlotte race, and we'll give some picks.
to our weekly NASCAR show, live from the Sportsbook at the South Point Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Now, back to Gaughn Racing.
We know you want live sports action, gang, and Quick Picks is coming to your rescue. Quick Picks, the unique daily parlay props game, now with live NASCAR and UFC matchups for you to play. With payouts up to $50,000 per ticket, Acuna 12 hit 7 NASCAR tickets in one day and won $6,800. Dude, nice job. The biggest daily payout yet for any Quick Picks. VSiN customers can now play Quick Picks through this special offer. Get a 100% automatic deposit bonus up to $100 when you sign up for a new Quick Picks account. Sign up now by going to quickpicks.com/VSiN bonus to find out more. Available in 27 states and D.C. Must be 21 years or older. Go to quickpicks.com/VSiN bonus and start playing Quick Picks now.
Quick Picks, parlay picks. That's pretty impressive that you didn't stumble all over that. Brendan Gaughan with the read. Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan back on Gaughn Racing.
Only nearly as much fun as a Manscaped.
Yeah, they're not one of the sponsors of our show, but you should hear Brendan do a Manscaped read. We should go and.
You got to hear Brent Musburger do a Manscaped.
Well, this is
Kidding
pretty
me?
funny too.
Me, you'd expect it from Brent Musburger. Is like when he does it, it's amazing.
I know an 80-year-old longtime legendary broadcaster,
legend.
and he's
doing Manscaped reads.
Okay, that's enough free advertising. For Manscaped,
sorry.
I believe.
I love him. I love it. I love it.
All right, Brendan, we've got 2 races coming up this week at Charlotte. We've got the Coke 600. We're going to have a shorter race on Wednesday night. Going to be a lot of track activity. Right now, by the way, the weather report is pretty good for Charlotte, unlike what Darlington has seen. But we're also going to have an Xfinity race on Monday at Charlotte.
Truck
and a truck race on Tuesday. So we're going to really see almost 2.
Isn't there an ARCA race Saturday?
No, I don't think they're running ARCA.
Maybe an ARCA race Saturday.
There may be an ARCA race. I don't know.
But a lot of racing.
There's going to be a lot of racing at Charlotte, but we're probably going to see 2 completely different races with 2 different types of strategy. We hope that the Wednesday night race will see a lot more rubber on the track. I doubt the trucks will run the same tire as the Cup. Maybe. We know the Xfinity guys are going to stick with the same tire that the Cup guys have been running, so the rubber on the track should be very, very comparable for them.
We talked about it last week, and we got the worst-case scenario that you and I discussed, which was a perfectly green track both days. At Charlotte, I think the nicest thing you're going to have is that rubber. You will have 2 diabolically different races. You have the 600-miler with all the strategy and stuff that comes into it, and then you're going to have literally half the distance, Jeff, 300 miles. That's a sprint race in NASCAR. Not many Cup races are ever just 300 miles. So, especially on a mile and a half.
Especially on a mile and a half.
Yep. So that
might be one of the first ones I can remember on a mile and a half.
That's a sprint race in that category.
Let me ask you about one driver in particular, Kyle Busch. He's going to run the 600, then he's going to run the Xfinity race on Monday, then he's running the truck race on Tuesday, and going to come back and run a Cup race on Wednesday. Do you think that will affect him will it help him, or do you think it will affect him at all come Wednesday night?
I think most drivers, if you said that, it would affect them negatively. But there's one thing about Kyle Busch. His physical condition is fine. He's not, that chiseled Carl Edwards or that Jimmy Johnson triathlon guy. But what Kyle Busch is he is a mental magnet. When he is on the right frame of mind, dude, his mind is phenomenal. And I think that he loves racing. And he loves proving. When you tell Kyle Busch he can't do something, that makes him want to do it even more. And I think that Kyle Busch will do all those races, and I bet he even wins. He could win 3 of them. He could win all 4. Hell, the way as good as he is.
Can you imagine 4 races in 4 days?
Dude, that's what he wants. And here's the deal. Kyle Busch will do whatever it takes to make sure that everybody knows that he did it. He did it easy. It had nothing. He's going to act like it was nothing, whether it was tough or not. He is going to make sure he acts like it was absolutely nothing. And that's what I love about Kyle Busch is his mental toughness and tenacity.
Well, I think it's going to be exciting to watch. And especially if he could start it off, like if he wins the Coke 600. If he wins the first one. He wins the Coke 600. Because if he wins the Coke 600, then I think he's going to go into Xfinity race as a favorite. And he's going to go into the truck race, which...
He might be minus 400 in the truck
when was the last time he lost a truck race? I mean, he doesn't even finish second in the truck race.
No, he lost one last year, I think. Didn't he lose one?
Did he lose one last year? He can only run like 5 now. Because they got this bounty out, you know, if anybody can beat him. And some of these Cup guys want to go and try to win this money that Marcus Lemonis from...
Well, I don't even know if that's still happening now. That may have gone by the wayside.
Well, we'll see if that's...
But still, Kyle Busch wants his tenacity to go and get that. He wants it. He's going to do it. And I think it's going to... I think for him, that's exactly what he wants, what he likes, and what he thrives on.
Well, I think it'll be fun to watch. Now, we reminded everybody in the previous segment, but we're going to bang the drum on this a little bit. We do not have head-to-head matchups, and we do not have group matchups because the race was run Wednesday night. We record our show on Thursday morning, so we may have to deal with this for a couple of weeks. So we're getting ready to make our picks, but our picks are really going to be centered around the odds to win the race and also the odds to finish in the top three. So we went over earlier who did well last week. Brendan, of course, was the big winner. Brendan got about 9-point-something points because he also picked a race winner with Kevin Harvick. And so, Brendan, since you were the winner last week, you get to pick first.
I thought we went.
Do we go opposite? We do go opposite. Oh, do we go opposite, Isaiah?
Did we just point that out one more time?
Yeah, well,
I'm sorry.
Isaiah finished last, the minus number. Okay, Isaiah, you go ahead and pick first, and go slowly because I have to.
Yeah, I realized last time I was told downstairs I flew through these.
You flew through them?
Yeah.
Oh, he flew. His excuse already loaded up.
This week we're gonna go with Alex Bowman top 3 plus 400. Next we're gonna go with Kurt Busch top 3 plus 550. Performed strong this past weekend at Darlington. Next, Austin Dillon top 3 14-1. Seems like that's kind of a long shot odds for how well he's been racing in these past 2 races. Next, we're gonna go with 2 race winners. One being Chase Elliott 9-1. Revenge tour factor, mad at Kyle Busch. He's had 2 really good cars. And then last one, Jimmy Johnson to win 16-1. Like him at Charlotte. Look past results, past few years, he's done really well there. That's where we're going to go this week.
Ooh.
Okay. You know, and I appreciate Isaiah talking about the history that Jimmy Johnson's had at Charlotte. And there was once upon a time when
when it was called Lowe's Motor Speedway, it was not just sponsored by him, it was owned by him.
It was pretty much owned by him. You're exactly right. But we've also talked a few times on the show that we want to see Jimmy become the old Jimmy again. Now, I thought we saw flashes of that on Sunday at Darlington, and obviously we had the issue there. But there's no question he has run better toward the end of last season and
the
run better this year.
Yep.
So I do think he's probably going to get a win somewhere in his final season. But okay, I get to go second.
Oh, that's right. You go
because
second.
I did not beat you last week. But and by the way, we also want to let everybody know we're not keeping the season standings right now because we're really kind of picking every other race with these Wednesday races, and we also we feel bad for Isaiah. We don't want him to be too far behind. So. Since obviously we know that we can't win every pick, considering we're only picking top 3 in race winners, I'm going to pick 2 race winners. There's no way I'm leaving Martin Truex Jr. at plus 600 on the board as dominant as he is at the Coke 600. So I'm going Martin Truex Jr. to win at plus 600. And I'm also going to go with Alex Bowman, a little bit of a long shot there, at 16-1 to win. And my other 3 picks, I'm going to go over into the DraftKings top 3. I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick, a top 3, plus 150. I like having a plus side by Kevin Harvick. I have pretty much completely hitched my wagon to Alex Bowman today. So I'm going to go Alex Bowman also with a top 3, plus 400. I kind of think, it seems like Brendan and I might be on the same wavelength if you guys can see the reaction that I'm getting from him. And my other top 3 pick, I'm going to go with Eric Jones at plus 600 for a top 3. So those are my picks to hopefully outdo you this week.
Dang it.
Okay, Mister. I was the best picker last week.
Oh, sorry. I guess that only worked for the people on VSiN TV.
Yeah. Trust me, if you were listening on the radio, just be glad.
Wipe it right now. So, I kind of bummed because everybody's kind of going last does have disadvantages. I am picking Martin Truex Jr. to win that race. I'm sorry, plus 600. He's been so dominant there. You can't leave that on the table with that big of a number. And then I'm going to go into the top 3s. And I was going to do a couple of the same ones as you guys, but I want to be a little differentiated. I'm going to double down on Martin Truex. I'm going to put him in the top DraftKings top 3 also. I'm going to go Denny Hamlin in the top 3. I can't believe you guys left me Denny Hamlin on the table and let that be a wide open one. So now I had Kevin and I had Alex Bowman. So I'm going to keep Kevin Harvick, but I'm ditching Alex Bowman, and I'm going to go all the way down, and I'm going to give it to Matt Kenseth at plus 800. I think that Matt Kenseth, at just mentally, his knowledge of this, how well he did just out of the gate, and how well that team's been doing, I'm giving me a Matt Kenseth as a top 3.
It's funny, as you were going down that list, I was expecting you to pick a Matt But you didn't pick
Matt,
the one
nope,
that I
nope.
thought you were going to pick.
I'm going Matt K. We got two Matts in town again, and Matt Kenseth is my DraftKings top.
You know, Matt Kenseth may be one guy who is benefiting the most from the fact that we raced on Sunday and we raced on Wednesday.
Gets him back in the gets seat time, baby.
Right back in
Saddle.
there. And look, and he had to go and race twice at a track where you're talking about tire management. I mean, you've got to do everything at Darlington. I mean, you've raced there. Obviously, I've been around it in a pace car, so that didn't count. But that's got to be one of the hardest tracks on the circuit to navigate your way around. I think it's the hardest.
But the first time I went there, 2001, I remember we had a test day in a truck, and we put wood in the frame rail on the side as door rails because everybody hits the wall so many times, it just holds the body out there. And didn't hit it. Went there my first race, and I'll never forget, following Robert Presley and Bobby Hamilton Sr. And I go to pass him, and Shane Wilson yells at me and says, "Don't even think about it." And I'm like, "Why? I'm faster." He goes, "Don't do it." And the three of us went last run. I mean, going to the checkered flag. 1, 2, 3. I go to pass him. Shane yells at me. We go back to like 9th, 10th, and 11th. And where'd we finish? 1, 2, 3.
Well, there you go.
You know, just listen to those guys, and I love the track. It's phenomenal.
Brendan, we got about 30 seconds left before we wrap up. Just real quick, in about 15 seconds, what can drivers expect racing around Charlotte?
For the first race, man, it's nighttime. It goes from day to night. You got to have tear-offs. You got to have all these things for your visor, your cruise, the water. You're going to have to hydrate, and you're going to have really no practice again. So this is going to be a testament to the drivers again, the crews, and I'm excited to watch these guys overcome adversity.
Well, we're really kind of looking forward to being able to get to Charlotte. So, certainly one of the holy grails of the NASCAR circuit, the legendary Coca-Cola 600.
World 600.
World 600 used to be called Coca-Cola 600, followed by the Alsco 300. I think it's going to be on Wednesday night. We'll see you next week on Gaughn Racing.